Hey, everybody. All right. I'm really excited about today's topic. We've been talking about healing the wounds over these last few weeks. And today I really want to talk about the capacity and calibration work, essentially like doubling, tripling, even quadrupling our prices, our income, without having to do more or work more hours. Maybe even by doing less and working less. How exciting would that be? Because that feels exciting to me. And so that's what we're exploring today. And so this training might be specifically valid, particularly valid for you, because maybe you're exhausted and kind of like edging on like towards burnout. You're getting on the edge of burnout. And you feel like your income's capped, but you don't have more to give energetically or time-wise. Or maybe you know that you are under earning for the amount of value and the amount of time and energy and expertise that you provide. Or maybe you're getting a little bored in your work and you want to work at this juncture with a higher caliber client so that you can have much deeper, much more expansive conversations that are going to light that fire in you that you want and essentially inspire you and feel really excited about your work again. Or simply, you're watching this training because you know you're not making the money you want to make. You're not making exciting levels of money. That's reason enough. Either way, for whatever reason you're here, welcome. I'm glad to have you. And I'm excited to share this with you. So if you're like me, you care so deeply about your clients and about making sure that they're having an amazing experience and getting results that you're probably already over delivering and over giving. I find that a lot of people who are attracted to this work are just naturally very attuned, very sensitive, and they're pleasers, they're givers by nature. But we can only do that for so long. We can only make too little money for too big of a contribution before we start to shut down. We start to feel overwhelmed, feel drained, have a sense of self-doubt, and even have a sense of resentment towards the work that we're doing, towards our business, towards our clients. And the moment that that starts happening, what came from a good place, this overgiving, this maybe keeping your prices lower so that it was more accessible to the general population, or it was accessible to more people. What came from this loving, outward giving place, which is expansion in some ways, starts to turn into contraction. And then at that point, we have to raise our prices. We have to shift what we're doing because we're going to start being able to we're not going to be able to keep selling it or keep showing up in our business at the same level if we don't rebalance things. So interestingly enough, I've mentored a ton of clients around this issue. And yet it's one I'm really deeply acquainted with. I am a total overgiver. I really struggle and have struggled my whole life with increasing my prices without automatically offering more. And I've gotten better, like with this nervous system work and this calibration work, I've gotten better with feeling really okay with charging more and not automatically having to give more of my time. But here's a little something for you to play with and pay attention with. If you notice that every time you increase your rates, especially if you're increasing them somewhat significantly, you automatically start to feel like you have to give more. And you start to think about what else you could give, either like features in your program or more access to you to kind of make up for the difference or make it worthwhile to warrant a price increase, essentially. I want you to know that you're actually in a place of contraction, in a place of nervous system scarcity or lack, or not enoughness. And so even though you're raising your prices, what you're feeling underneath, the burden, the resentment, the exhaustion, none of that will go away because you're making a movement that is still steeped in lack or in scarcity. And we can't create abundance and expansion from contraction. So today I'm going to show you how to, and the process I take my clients to increase your prices and to make a lot more money without doing more, without having to add more time with you, more features, more trainings, more retreats, more whatever. But before I dive in, as always, I'm going to take 5 minutes to introduce myself in case there's not 5 minutes, actually. It should be like 1 minute, 2 at most, in case there's anybody new who's watching this training. So if you're new, welcome. Hi, I'm Ilsa. I'm a total spiritual nerd. I'm a nature lover, an animal lover, a bookworm. I live in Boulder, Colorado with my 2 dogs and my husband. I don't know how my husband would feel about the fact that he came after the dogs, but we won't tell him. Professionally, for the last 20 years or so, I've worked as a psychotherapist, an expansion expert, and a strategist, working mainly with leaders, CEOs, business owners, helping them to rewire their nervous system, their brains, their bodies, their business for exciting money and a deeply simple and satisfying path to growth and expansion. If the title of this live, doubling, tripling your income, your prices, feels exciting to you, and this is what you want to create in the year to come, while also doubling your ease, your play, your free time, then I would love to work together. And there's usually 2 ways for us to do that. One way is if you know you want to join my program, the Quantum Expansion Experience, then you and I can have a free enrollment call. We'll figure out exactly what we're going to focus on to really customize the process to you. I'll answer any questions you have, and we'll pick the level of support that is best suited for you. If you're not quite ready to dive in and you want to actually get to work with me first and you want to experience this work for yourself, then I also offer a 90-minute Wired for Wealth intensive. It's one-on-one, you and I, for 90 minutes. We figure out exactly where are your nervous system blocks that are keeping you stuck, holding you back, essentially. And then I take you through a custom process to really move you out of that contraction, back into a sense of liberation and then expansion. And then if we want to do more work together, then I will we'll talk about a couple different options that might suit you. So if you're interested in either one of those, obviously the enrollment call is free. The 90-minute intensive is actually offered at a significant saving for people who are new to this work so that there's not a huge financial commitment to get a feel and a taste for this work. Just check the description of this training and you'll see both of them. The link to get all the details and stuff is in there. You know, my aim is that together we would create next level authenticity, visibility, and money for you from a place of real, deep unwavering sense of safety, capacity, and sovereignty. My work is really always meeting the convergence of emotional freedom and financial freedom. All right, let's get started with this training. So what does it take to double, triple, or even 10x your income without working more? So as I stated, in the last couple trainings, we've really talked about anchoring safety, healing the wounds of the past that are holding us back, and stepping into possibilities, essentially freeing ourselves of the past so we can step into what's possible for us by providing that missing experience. Today, we're really going to talk about increasing capacity and how to calibrate our bodies, our brains, our identity to the results we desire so that there is no resistance and there is absolute clarity on the path ahead. So the first thing we have to do when we're talking especially when we're talking about this concept of like doubling your income or your fees while also doubling your ease, your free time, your joy. So what we're doing here, the first thing is we're really having to work at dissolving the conditioning that's been hardwired in our brain, in our nervous system, in our biology, that the only way to provide more value as a business owner is to give more of you, to give more of your precious time, to give more of your energy, to give more stuff. In many ways, we are stuck in a culture, in a collective, where value is always equal to giving more. You go to a sandwich shop, and if you're going to pay more money, that's usually because you got more sandwiches. And we're having to shift the way we're looking and quantifying value with our work. So we have to start question how we view our value and the value of our body of work. And it's really important that we commit to shifting our perspective around value and how we account for our value, because you can easily cultivate more elevated thoughts and feelings about ourselves, about money, about our clients, about our work, about its value, but you can't really cultivate and create more time. So the first thing we're having to do here is to start to shift our internal perception and to really commit to having much more elevated thoughts and feelings about who we are, about money itself, about our clients, and what they're capable of holding and doing and paying, and about the work we do and the value that we provide. Because that's the first step. Everything comes from how we start to shift our perspective. You can create more confidence for yourself internally. You can even shift and expand your body and its capacity. You can increase the depth of your work. But what you can't do is you can't create more hours in a day. So it's always about shifting our internal perspective first. And this idea, this seed, this contraction, this old program that more money will require more of you is very old. And it's been passed down from generations to generations. Most of us have an ancestor, if it's not our mom and dad, who worked themselves to death. And the only way they could essentially make ends meet was to spend all their lives at work. to like be up at 6 in the morning and coming home at 8, 9 o'clock at night to eat, to go to bed, working on the weekends. Like essentially this idea that the only way to make more money is to sacrifice ourselves is very ingrained inside us. And so it's going to take you elevating your thinking and expanding your nervous system and recalibrating your body's response to time, to money, to the value of your work, to deconstruct that lie and to start to reclaim your freedom and your sovereignty. This is really where peace and profits start to converge. So how does it work? How do we start? So the first thing I do with clients is based on what they want to accomplish, we choose a new elevated thought pattern and a more expansive reality that they want to anchor into. So you decide and you choose to believe, and then you pick something. So for example, I'm going to give you a few. Like a new expanded reality could be, my program is life-changing, and at XYZ dollar, insert your stretch goal, it's a steal. My program is life-changing, and at $20,000, it's a steal. Or another expansion statement, like if you're somebody who works one-on-one and you're capped, and you're thinking about shifting into a more scalable business model or figuring out a hybrid model, maybe like my model where you're including group but also one-on-one so that you can be a little more scalable, you might pick an expansion statement that sounds something like, clients get equal or even better results working with me in a group container than they do one-on-one. Or another one could be, I get to make more money than I've ever made working less hours than I've ever worked. So you pick a statement that essentially it's like a personal affirmation that describes in one clear one-liner the truth of who you want to be, what you want to build, and what you want to experience. Essentially, it's an expansion statement that describes the process of what you are calibrating yourself, your life, and your business to. Now, here's the real deal, right? Like choosing a new thought or a paradigm is obviously not enough. If it was, we would all be millionaires. So once you have your statement, you then have to anchor that new thought, that new reality in your body and in your brain. And that's a big part of the work that I do in the quantum expansion experience. So to anchor a new way of being, a new way of living, a new way of receiving, you have to allow your body to start to open and come alive to what you're creating, to what you're building. You have to allow your body to start to calibrate to it and to discover, to find a path to it. If you don't do that, what happens is that the unconscious part of your brain just blocks it because you don't believe it. Or you believe at the very least that it's not possible for you, or you're not worthy, or you're not capable of creating that. So here's a powerful truth when it comes to somatic wealth calibration. The more alive and spacious your body becomes in response to your expansion statement, in response to the goal you have, the more excitement, the more relaxation you can feel, the more of a yes you can feel in your body internally, the greater your capacity to receive it and hold it with ease. And the more you know that you are calibrated to that reality. And the more calibrated you get to it, the clearer the path ahead becomes. Without that embodied sense of yes, like when your body feels kind of numb or shut down or armored or even contracted, like there's fear when you think of bringing in that amount of clients or that amount of money, or like it feels like there's all this self-doubt, it doesn't feel possible. When you don't feel that yes inside your body, that openness, that aliveness, that spaciousness in your body, you end up stuck in your head. And there's a lot of people out there who are trying to create the path forward, trying to create the results they want from their minds, and they're spinning. They're trying to figure it out. They're shifting. They're, like buying this course and then this course and then this program and trying this strategy and then this strategy and trying this messaging. And then that's not getting the response they want. So now they shift to this messaging and they're throwing out multiple offers. And essentially, they're stuck in a pattern of doubt, always second guessing themselves, feeling overwhelmed, confused, drained. They're wasting their time essentially consuming other people's shit, other people's content, becoming a consumer rather than being a creator, looking for the answer out there, when all along, the reason they can't feel the answer, they can't know the answer, is because they're not calibrated to the results they want. And so that lack of calibration, that lack of capacity, literally creates a sabotage, it creates a resistance to growth and expansion. So you're doing all the shit, but potentially you're exhausted and you're not getting the results you want. Or worst comes to worst, you're settling for a much smaller version of what you want because what you really want doesn't feel possible and you can't see how you would ever get there. So you literally have to rewire your nervous system and your brain, your body, to be a match for that new expansive thought, that expansion statement, for that new expansive reality, so that it starts to become normalized inside you. And so that your brain starts to see it as true. And so this is really interesting because when you start to calibrate yourself to an expansion statement and it starts to feel normalized in it, not only does your capacity for it, so it starts to feel safe, it starts to feel second nature, but your brain starts to see it as a true reality. And when that happens, the reticular activation part of your brain activates, as well as the default mode network. And both start to align to this new vision, to this new reality you're trying to build. And both start to figure out the quickest way there, the most seamless path, effortless path to that reality that you're calibrated to. So the reticular activation center in your brain, just to make it real quick and real simple, essentially is a part of your brain that filters out information, only allowing you to see data and information that supports your current reality, essentially supports what you're calibrated to, what you have the capacity to hold and receive. And your default mode network becomes activated when you're really relaxed, really open, really expansive. And it's the part of your brain that has the ability to process complex information, to create really creative solutions to problems. And it's almost like a genius part of your brain that allows you to put pieces of the puzzles together until you have absolute clarity and insight and inspiration on what it looks like and how to get there and what to do next. This is, by the way, partly why you can't create expansion out of contraction. You've heard me say this if you've watched any of my videos. It's one of my favorite little statements that, a dog's never going to give birth to kitten. You plant an apple tree seed, you're never going to get oranges. Essentially, you can't get expansion and abundance out of contraction and lack. And part of it is because your brain literally will not let you. When you're in contraction, your brain will filter out through that reticular activation part anything that might bring you into expansion, and it's going to force you to only see and to only focus on contraction. You literally cannot see expansion, or you cannot see the pathway there. And your default mode network, when you're in contraction, because remember, the default mode network activates, comes on board when you're in a place of spaciousness, of aliveness, of deep relaxation and safety. So when you're in contraction, the part of your brain that would actually find its way out of contraction and back into expansion and would have some really creative, insightful, inspiring ideas, that part of your brain is shut down. It's not actually functioning properly. So you have to be anchored and embodied in expansion first. And then everything comes on board to be a partner with you in creating that reality. Your brain activates and start to filter out contraction and really focus on expansion and look for opportunities to expansion. Your default mode network start to piece the puzzle together and create a simple pathway to more expansion. Essentially, when you do that, your brain and your body becomes your partner, your ally to seeing expansion, creating expansion, building and growing in expansion. So nervous system rewiring and expansion is essentially what allows your brain and your body to get on board. At which point your identity starts to also shift. And that's when you start to really embody and live a new reality and welcome it in your lived experience. You know, I touched upon that, but I want to go into it a little deeper, because a lot of clients will come to me and they know what they want. Some people don't know what they want. That's a different story. But they know what they want, but they're always asking for the how, or they always want me to give them the how, to help them design, or give them the step-by-step of what they should do to get to their results. And there's a lot of like business mentorship out there. That's essentially what people do. They tell you how they did it, and they teach you how they did it, and then they have you do the exact same thing. But for me, what I found from doing this work with myself and with a lot of my clients, obviously, is that the how to get there or how to accomplish the results you want won't actually come from up here. It's going to come from in here. And most of us are trying to figure out the pathway from up here. And we're spinning. We're stuck in indecision. We're stuck in confusion. We are second guessing ourselves because we're looking for the solution in the wrong place. The bulk of our wisdom, the bulk of our knowing is in here. And it arises from your boundless body. It is your body when you are in this place of deep safety, of feeling alive, spacious, open, having like really wide capacity and being completely calibrated to the results you want, to the reality you're creating. When you're in that place, I call that the boundless body. Your body feels alive, it feels relaxed, it feels so normalized with what you want to create that there's no rub, there's no resistance. When you're in that place of aliveness and spaciousness, the strategy starts to emerge naturally, the right strategy, not just any strategy, but your strategy, the strategy that will work for you, that will feel simple for you, that will feel sustainable for you. And that includes, by the way, designing your offer, what to add in it, what not to add in it, finding the core truth of your message in the most powerful and magnetizing way. A lot of that comes from this work when we are in full alignment and in full openness, in total access and connection to our deepest wisdom, with our brain fully awake and open and working towards expansion, and our body fully holding capacity and calibration for what we want, it's like the path shows up all on its own. So to 2x, 5x, 10x your income, you literally have to rewire your nervous system and your body to be that match, to make sure that that reality feels so second nature, so natural to you, that there is no resistance and you are in full aliveness and spaciousness with that expansion statement. When you do that, things start to move and shift really quickly. That is when the way you talk, the way you feel and think, the way you hold and lead yourself and others, the way you perceive your body of work and deliver your body of work, all of that, the way you show up starts to transform. That's when your expectations of what you expect to receive increase, and your standards start to elevate naturally without you having to effort. Your boundaries start to get set in place. You don't even have to set boundaries. You're just no longer that person who overgives for too little. You're no longer that person who says yes to everybody else but yourself. And when you are in that place of absolute alignment and calibration, brain, body, identity, that's when opportunities, clients start to show up, and you start to attract a different type of client, a kind of client who will not balk at your prices, who will show up committed and ready to work, who is willing to invest in themselves and truly sees the value of your work. Because at this point, you are literally like a lighthouse that is sending out the sense of expansion. And you are attracting people who are themselves ready for expansion. They are not stuck in being in contraction. They're not comfortable in their contraction anymore. They are calibrating to expansion. And so they want someone who is really in service of expansion to guide them. That's when suddenly what felt like a faraway dream turns into your lived experience. And what's really extraordinary with this process is when that happens, when that expansion statement literally is totally in alignment with your body, like your body has come awake to it. Your body feels alive with it, feels safe with it, feels spacious with it. And it feels really normal and like it's yours. Like there's no doubt with it. What's really extraordinary here is that you can't even pinpoint when the change happened. You can't pinpoint when you became this really peaceful, powerful badass, essentially, and when things started to flow for you. I had a client a couple weeks ago. I've been doing this process with her one-on-one, and she came in to my session and she said, "Ilse, you won't believe it. I actually I surpassed my goal, but I don't actually know how it happened. I didn't do anything different. Like everything, like I had to recount it twice. Like I was surprised how much money there was in my bank account. I made like I counted, and then so I think she was talking about November, but it's like I added up all my numbers and the number was higher than any money I've ever made. And I literally had to go back and recount it again because I thought I'd made a mistake, or I'd counted a couple things twice. I don't know how it happened. Like There's a little bit of magic in this, where literally it's like in hindsight that you realize that this old reality that used to feel really true and real, that old version of you that used to feel like you, both are gone. Like the old version of you and the old reality, at some point, they disappeared and something else emerged. And oftentimes you notice that your results have shifted, that your views, your perspective, how you feel, how you show up, how you think about your business or your offer, or how you feel about raising your prices, that you realize that all of that has shifted and you didn't even notice that it shifted. Everything is elevated. What you're creating, what you're achieving has elevated, and it's all happened seamlessly. It's like you literally stepped into a new paradigm, because literally you changed everything about you. This is what oftentimes people don't realize. Your reality is a mirror of your biochemistry, your biology, and your identity. When you become different, your reality has no options but to start to shift as well, because you're showing up differently, you're seeing things differently, everything about what you're doing is different. And what happens is that when you've shifted into this new reality, it feels so normal to you that you can't even relate to who you used to be and where you used to be. Both have been replaced by a much bigger identity and reality. And I'm sure some of you have experienced that. Like if you think, I'm going to assume you're a business owner based on this training, but you think back to what you used to charge 5 years ago. Like when I think back to what I used to charge like 5, 7, 10 years ago, I used to charge $50 an hour. I can't wrap my mind around that. Like 10 years ago, I used to charge $50 an hour. And then it was 55, and then it was 60, and then it was 6. Like I can't relate to who I was back then. Now I'm looking at a big chunk of time, but I also can tell you that I can't relate to the version of me who a year ago thought that charging $299, or a couple of years ago, $299 a month to work with her, that was expensive. That part, like, I can't relate to the version of me who was like, will people be able to afford that? Will people like see the value in doing that? Or like, is that accessible enough? Like, I'm like, the fuck was wrong with her? Like, that version of me doesn't live in here anymore. So whether it's 10 years, 1 year, or even sometimes 1 month, you do this work on a daily basis over 1 month, and you can wake up at the end of the month and you're a completely different person, living in a relatively different reality than who you were and where you were a month ago. That's how powerful this work is. As long as you're trying to expand your life, to grow your business, to increase your income from a place of contraction, everything is going to continue to feel hard, to feel slow, to feel convoluted and murky, confusing. Because contraction only creates more contraction. Your family cat is never going to give birth to a tiger. Never going to happen, even though they're in the same feline family. So your work is to shift out of that contraction and to start to really step into that expansion. Increase your capacity, calibrate to what you want to create, and then move from there. But here's the best part. When you rewire your neurology, you expand your body's aliveness, capacity, you set up the calibration, you elevate your identity, essentially the whole path becomes simplified and clear. As you calibrate yourself for that next level and your body starts to relax to it, to open to it, and to allow itself to feel aliveness, to feel pleasure, to feel really relaxed with it, it is that spaciousness, that aliveness, that wisdom that's coursing through you that starts to download and communicate the right path forward, the how. And at that point, what felt like an impossible reality starts to feel inevitable. And you know exactly how to get there. Your body, in partnership with your brain, with that reticular activation system and that default mode network, shows you and downloads into you your unique and custom path forward, your strategy, your marketing, the right offer for you, the right messaging for you. It all comes from you. It comes from your expanded self and your expanded body, which is why, for most of us, following somebody else's cookie cutter guidance, somebody else's strategy, especially for not really taking the time to make it our own, almost never works. So your only job is to pick a new elevated reality, an expanded statement, and then to recalibrate yourself and rewire yourself, which is the work I do, right? To that, and then to open. Your only job becomes to open, to listen, to receive the guidance, and then respond appropriately to it. When you know who you are and you rewire your nervous system and your body to be a match for the income expansion that your heart truly desires, not the amount of money you think is possible for you to make, but actually the exciting levels of money you really actually want to make. So when you become calibrated to that, the strategy is effortlessly revealed from your boundless body. The how essentially figures itself out and takes care of itself. It's delivered to you in some ways. I am living it. My clients in the quantum expansion experience are living it. They're having record-breaking months. And sometimes, like I shared, they're not always clear how they did it, or they're having a real clarity as to what kind of offer, what kind of next step to take. And they're having the safety, the capacity, the regulation to actually take action and follow their own guidance. And everything starts to happen easily and seamlessly. And this is what I want for you. This is the work that makes everything you are doing work. But you can't find your path from self-doubt. You can't find the path forward from a mind that's spinning and confused and a body that's tight, armored, and afraid and doesn't think it's possible, or is afraid that it's, even if I do reach my goal, it's going to be too much. You have to become the version of you in brain, in body, in biochemistry that feels like it's a no-brainer. And that feels like what you want is totally doable, and it's doable easily. That's capacity. That's calibration work. This is the work that makes everything you do work. So if you are ready to expand out of contraction and to really repair and recalibrate your nervous system, your brain, your body, your identity, and your business, so that you can double and triple your income while also doubling or tripling your ease, your joy, your free time, I would love to work with you and help you activate a brand new level to your receiving reality in this new year. So if you know that you want to work with me and you want to have some degree of long-term support and access to me, then the quantum expansion experience is probably where you would start. And in there, you would have access to the core expansion curriculum, to monthly expansion experiments that I take you through. You would have access to all the rewiring, regulation, expansion, and somatic calibration practices that you need to rewire yourself, to find this depth of safety and peace, and to calibrate your wealth to what you want to make. You receive in there 3 mini retreats every single month where we practice together, and you get personalized mentorship, and you also have some level of deep dive one-on-one support. If that seems like this is what you need, this is what you want, then let's get on a free enrollment call. We'll choose the best level of support for you. We'll map out together kind of what you're going to focus on to reach that next level with ease and as much speed as possible. And I'll answer any questions you've got and get you started. If you're not quite ready to commit to that, it's a 6 months minimum commitment, by the way, but you still want to experience this work and kind of calibrate yourself for expansion, I offer a 90-minute one-on-one Wired for Wealth intensive, where we explore your unique nervous system contractions, the wounds, the blocks that have held you back. And then I take you through a step-by-step process to shift out of contraction into liberation and into expansion, so that you can really get a taste of one, working with me, and also of this process and this work that we do. And this intensive is offered at a significant saving for people who are new to this work. And then if you want to continue to work together after this, then we discuss a couple different options to continue with this work. You're going to find the link to both of those, to the free call and to the intensive, in the description of this video. In this work, when you do this deep expansion work, you can expand who you're being and what you're making. You can expect to tame the chaos, to become still and spacious in any storm you encounter, both your own internal bullshit storm and the external shit of life. Through this work, you will realize in an embodied, known way that you are actually the most peaceful and powerful force in your life and in your business. That the way there, wherever there is, always comes out of you, not out of someone else. You will experience like a sense of self-remembering of your power, your wisdom, becoming centered and clear, trusting yourself infinitely, feeling safe with yourself. You will unlock who you are, who you were always meant to be, and activate that boundless body so that you can easily move through any kind of invisible barriers that has kept you small, kept you silent, oppressed, repressed, and kept your income kind of like capped. You'll be able to create higher revenue from a totally relaxed place and effortlessly take aligned action so that you can create the consistent, reliable, and exciting results that you want. And you're going to do all of that from a deep sense of safety, of increased capacity, of calm confidence, and of sovereignty. So if this feels really exciting to you, if you want to explore the marriage of rewiring work and calibration work, that nervous system expansion work with the somatic wealth work. And you want to also get very specific, custom for you strategies that will allow you to expand with ease, with clarity, with maximum freedom, then this program, my work, is literally made for you. It is potentially the answers to your prayers. And I would be honored to put my 20 years plus of experience to work for you. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the year. I'm officially on vacation at this point, and I'll see you in the new year. Mwah.